everyone. My name is Miss Laurel. I'm a children's librarian at the Durham County Library. And for today's story time, I'm going to tell you a folktale from Africa called Cat and Woman. It's all about how a cat became a household pet. And there are other stories like it in the folktale and fairy tale section of your local library. A long time ago, Cat lived deep in the African jungle, but he wasn't any bigger than he is right now. He was very smart though. So one day he decides, I need a partner. But he didn't want just any partner. He wanted to be partners with the greatest in the jungle. So he set out to look for them. And then one day he noticed that the birds and animals would all run away from Hyena. So he thought, Hyena must be the greatest in the jungle. So he waited on the path until Hyena came into view and called up to him, Yo, Hyena! Well, Hyena's a little surprised the cat would talk to him, but he answers, What do you want, cat? I've seen all the birds and animals run away from you, said Cat. You must be the greatest in the jungle. Well, Hyena's pleased to hear this, so he says, I guess I am at that. I'd like to be a partner, said Cat. Hyena thought about that and says, All right, but I will do your work for you. And so, for a time, Cat and Hyena were partners. But then a smell drifted in on the wind. Jackal was prowling in the jungle. They saw him off to the path. And Hyena dove for the bushes and called, You cat, get down, get down! Why? Says Cat in a loud voice. Jackal's in the jungle, said Hyena. He was trembling. Well, you can imagine Cat is disappointed. He thought he'd found the greatest in the jungle. He looks at Hyena like, Say what? And then says, You ain't nothing, and walks away. But then he got to thinking, if Hyena was afraid of Jackal, Jackal must be the greatest in the jungle. So he waited on the path until Jackal came into view and called up to him, Yo, Jackal! Now, Jackal is a dog, so he's a little surprised the cat would talk to him. But he answers, What do you want, cat? If Hyena's afraid of you, said Cat, you must be the greatest in the jungle. Jackal kind of wags his tail and says, I guess I am at that. I'd like to be a partner, said Cat. Jackal thought about that and says, All right, but I won't do your work for you. And so for a time, Cat and Jackal were partners. But then the jungle birds brought news. Leopard was prowling in the jungle, and they saw him off to the path. Jackal dove for the bushes and called, You cat, go down, go down! Why? Says Cat in a loud voice. Leopards in the jungle, said Jackal. He was trembling. Well, now you can imagine Cat's not happy. He still hasn't found the greatest in the jungle. He looks at Jackal like, Say what? Then tells him, You ain't nothing, and walks away. But then Cat got to thinking, Leopard is a cat too. Maybe he can be my partner. So he waited on the path until Leopard came into view and called up to him, Yo, Leopard! Now, remember how small Cat is. So Leopard kind of stares down at him and says, What do you want, Cat? If Jackal is afraid of you, said Cat, you must be the greatest in the jungle. Well, I suppose I am at that, says Leopard. He's pleased to hear this. I'd like to be a partner, said Cat. Leopard thought about that and then says, All right, but I'm not going to do your work for you. And so, for a time, Cat and Leopard were partners. But then, news spread through the jungle. Man was hunting there. They saw him down the path. And Leopard dove for the bushes and called, Yo, Cat, get down, get down! Why? Says Cat in a loud voice. Man is in the jungle, said Leopard. He was trembling. Now Cat's really upset. He still has not found the greatest in the jungle. He looks at Leopard like, Say what? Then tells him, You ain't nothing, and walks away. But then he got to thinking. He'd heard that Man is a great hunter. Maybe he could be his partner. So he waited on the path until Man came into view, and then he called up to him, Yo, Man! Man kind of stares down at Cat and says, What is it you want, Cat? If Leopard is afraid of you, said Cat, you must the greatest in the jungle.
And man kind of puffs out his chest and says, I suppose I am.
I'd like to be your partner, said Cat. Man thought about that and says,
All right, but I'm not going to do your work for you.
And so, for the rest of the evening, Man and Cat hunted together. Got a nice haul, in fact. Then it was time to head home. And when they reached Man's village, when they got to his hut, Man thought he might try to impress Cat a little. So he knocks on the door of the hut all big and important like. But the door didn't open. He knew his wife was home, though. He could see smoke coming out of the chimney. So he thought, well, maybe she didn't hear me. So he knocks again, all big and important like. The door opened. What you think you doing knocking like that? Who do you think you are? You ain't coming in my house. And the door slammed shut. And Man looks down at Cat and says,
Well, Cat, I guess two of us will have to stay out here for a while.
And Cat looks up at Man like, you are afraid of woman? And Man says, didn't you hear that tone? A voice. Cat repeated his question, looking a little puzzled. You are afraid of woman? And now Man's wondering if something wrong with Cat's ears. So he repeated his question. Didn't you hear that tone? So Man was left behind as Cat walked over to the door and he knocked gently. Door opened. Didn't I tell you? Oh, hello there, said Woman when she saw Cat. If Man is afraid of you, said Cat, you must be the greatest in the jungle. Rubs up against Woman's legs and tells her, I'd like to stay here if I may. And ever since then, Cat has lived in the house with Woman. Like I said, he's smart. The end.